probably the most spectacular archaeological site in South America and the most famous symbol of the Incas, Machu Picchu, and means Old Peak, is located in a semi-tropical area 7,000 feet above sea level in the Andes Mountains of Peru. It lies about 300 miles southeast of Lima, the modern Peruvian capital, and 170 miles northwest of Cuzco, the capital city of the Inca Empire. The vast Inca Empire lasted from 1438 to 1533, and was centered in what is now Peru, but included Ecuador, Bolivia, Chile, part of Argentina, and the southern end of Colombia. The Incas were the last of the advanced native societies of the Andes before the arrival of the Europeans. Machu Picchu was known only to a few local farmers until it was rediscovered in 1911 by Hiram Bingham, director of the Peruvian expedition of the University of Yale. Bingham was led to the site by a local farmer named Melchior Arteaga, and at first the American thought that he and his team had discovered another lost Inca city called Vilcabamba. Bingham had read about Vilcabamba in 16th century Spanish chronicles as the jungle city to which the Inca fled after their failed rebellion against the Spanish. Bingham's party were surprised to find how remarkably well preserved the mountain city was, 400 years after it had been mysteriously abandoned by its inhabitants. Hiram Bingham was the first to describe Machu Picchu as the lost city of the Incas, and he used it as the title of his first book, a bestseller which brought the site international attention. Machu Picchu was built between 1460 and 1470 by Inca ruler and founding father of the Inca Empire, Pachacuti Inca Yupanqui, and it seems to have been inhabited until just before the Spanish conquest of Peru in 1532. The city, with its approximately 200 buildings, including houses, palaces, temples, observatories, and storage structures, is an astonishing achievement in urban planning, civil engineering, and architecture. The complex covers an area of about half a square mile and can be broadly divided up into three distinct areas or districts: agricultural, urban, and religious. The agricultural section contains a series of terraces and aqueducts, which utilize the natural slopes of the land, and function not only as cultivation platforms but also retention walls to prevent erosion. The area also includes small, humble dwellings built around narrow alleys, thought to have been occupied by farmers. The urban section of the complex is separated from the agricultural by a wall. In the southern part of this area is a series of recesses carved into the rock and named the jail by Bingham because of these small niches, where he thought prisoners' arms were held in place by stone rings. It is more correctly identified nowadays as part of the Temple of the Condor, this complex deriving its name from what is thought to be an Andean condor carved into a granite outcrop located at its lowest point. The collection of sophisticated structures next to the temple built in a reddish stone is known as the intellectuals' quarters, where there seems to have been accommodation for the Amotas, high-ranked teachers, and also a section known as the zone of the Nustas, princesses. The three-windowed temple, named for its three large trapezoidal windows that open onto the main plaza, contains a carved stone with figures symbolizing the three levels of the Andean world: the Hanan Pasha, the higher world or heavenly paradise; the Ke Pasha, the earthly world; and the Ukcha Pasha, the inner world where the gods live. The religious section also includes the sacred temple, an excellent example of Inca stone masonry, with large polished stone blocks perfectly joined together, the priest's house, and an enigmatic shrine known as the Inti Huaytana, or hitching post of the sun. This is one of the most important and mysterious constructions at Machu Picchu. It is composed of a column of granite, probably the gnomon or pointer of a sundial, rising from a huge pyramidal table stone, and it is thought to have functioned as a solar observatory. At each winter solstice, during the festival of Inti Raymi, or Festival of the Sun, the god would be symbolically secured to the stone by a priest in an attempt to prevent the complete disappearance of the sun. The religious section contains splendid Inca architecture and masonry work. Its main part consists of the sacred plaza, the scene of popular ceremonies, surrounding the most significant buildings at Machu Picchu. The Sun Temple is a semicircular construction cut into the solid rock containing two windows, one facing to the east and the other towards the north. According to modern scientists, these two windows were used as a solar observatory. The east-facing window allowed an accurate measurement of the winter solstice by measuring the shadow cast by the central stone. The main feature of Machu Picchu, and one that has amazed countless visitors, is the fine quality of the massive stone walls and buildings, constructed without mortar, using neither the will nor draft animals. Much of the characteristically polygonal masonry in these structures locks together so precisely that it is impossible to fit even the thinnest knife blade in between the joints. This Inca design ensures the stability of the structure in an area well known for earthquakes. Due to the fine quality of the masonry and the apparent difficulty in transporting and erecting such huge stones, some alternative theorists have conjectured that laser technology was employed to build the structures at Machu Picchu, either by some lost ancient civilization or extraterrestrial visitors. The mystery of Machu Picchu's construction is further enhanced by the lack of any documentary evidence to indicate exactly how the buildings were erected. Research has shown that the Incas had a class of professional architects to design and organize the construction of such building complexes as Machu Picchu. When considering Inca architecture, it is vital to understand that these architects were experts at adapting the form of the construction to the landscape in which they were built. Consequently, existing rock formations were utilized in construction, sculptures were carved into rock faces, and water flowed through stone channels. Though it is not known exactly how the Inca moved such enormous blocks of stone, the general belief is that they used all the able-bodied men from captured tribes to push the stones, perhaps after levering them onto smaller spherical stones, and then rolling them forward, moving the stones from the back to the front as they progressed. Most of the buildings and walls at the site were constructed of granite blocks, and possibly cut with bronze or stone tools, and finally smoothed off with sand. The actual function of Machu Picchu has been much debated. Was it a great Inca city with a large, thriving population? Probably not. It has been estimated that only about 1,000 people lived in and around Machu Picchu at any one time, which, along with its isolated position, indicates that it cannot really have been a conventional city. Hiram Bingham's excavations in the early 20th century revealed 135 mummified corpses, 109 of which Bingham identified as female. From the predominantly female burials, Bingham deduced that the site functioned mainly as a refuge of the Incas, the Inca Virgins of the Sun. However, more recent analysis of the skeletons has indicated that the skeletons were in fact evenly divided between males and females. The current theory is that the complex was a ceremonial city, which also functioned as a royal estate and religious retreat or sanctuary for Inca royalty, priests, and priestesses. Machu Picchu's sudden abandonment is shrouded in mystery. During the time of the Spanish conquest, the sacred city lay undiscovered, which suggests that it had long been deserted and forgotten. Theories for the unexplained abandonment are legion and include the city running dry in an extended period of drought, a disastrous fire, or because of evacuation during the time of Inca resistance to the Spanish. Probably the most viable theory points to the fact that, prior to the Spanish conquest, smallpox had been introduced to Peru from Europe. It soon reached epidemic proportions and spread through the country. By 1527, half of the population had fallen victim to the disease, the government began to collapse, and civil war erupted. A lack of social order and a drastically reduced population would explain a relatively swift desertion. Today, this amazing mountaintop complex of temples, cyclopean walls, fields, and terraces is a historic national sanctuary, protected by the Peruvian government, and since 1983, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The lost city of the Incas is no longer lost. It attracts around 500,000 foreign visitors per year and is by far the most visited tourist attraction in Peru. Although the Peruvian government maintains that there are no problems resulting from such a vast amount of tourists tramping all over the site, UNESCO has expressed fears about the possible damage caused by this volume of tourism, and in 1998 added Machu Picchu to its list of endangered World Heritage Sites. The Inca Empire was one of the most highly developed civilizations of its time. Unlike the Roman Empire, it was at its peak when it was conquered by outsiders. The invaders had superior weapons and the horses, which gave them an advantage on the battlefield. European diseases introduced by the Spanish far to the north decimated the Inca people even before the enemies arrived on their shores. The Inca culture is of interest to scholars because its leaders developed a highly organized state that ruled over millions of people living in a vast territory without the aid of money and writing. By building on indigenous institutions, Inca rulers controlled a vast empire, created great art, developed sophisticated engineering and scientific principles, and managed to provide basic shelter and food for millions of people in an environment of harsh extremes. All these fanatically perfect walls and buildings cannot mean to us what they meant to the Incas. Our evaluation is probably totally different. In spite of the fact that our view of the past seeks to find in historical stratification the explanation that may satisfy our interpretation, we are aware that each epoch preceding ours saw the same problem with different eyes. And yet, there is an understanding, unchanging and satisfactory for all, a common accord admiration for the culture that achieved this incredible result in only 1 century. Thank you for watching.